Oh boy. So are you guys getting audio? If you can give me a number one or just yes in the chat, let me know if you're getting audio. If I keep looking down because I'm using my phone to view the chat. Because I haven't figured out how to do the screen capture and look at the live chat on screen at the same time. I'll figure it out. Holla. DIY solar energy. Very nice. Am I coming through loud and clear? Apparently battery hookup is good clean audio. Perfect. Thank you. Apparently battery hookup is having a sale. I didn't know that until just now. Hopped on there just out of curiosity. Figures. All right. So this is something, let me double check something real quick. Okay. Make sure you guys can see. So this is something that I found a while ago that I haven't actually used on a battery yet, but I intend to. I've printed some stuff out for like testing and everything. But I found this. This is from Addy771, and it was originally designed. He designed it for 18650s. They had a lithium polymer fire. I actually found a YouTube video. It wasn't this one. It was a different video where they went through and discussed like, hey, this was the fire. So it really freaked them out that they had a fire. I mean, I can understand that. It's a pretty big concern. One of the main concerns for lithium. Not much of a sale. Sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, I know, but it's better than nothing. I don't know if the DIY 5% off works as well, but sorry, I have ADD. ADD. Uh, anyway, so let me get going on this here. So they had a fire and decided to make new batteries out of lithium iron phosphate cells, and you can see these are A123s. And so they designed a parametric cell holder setup, which I didn't know what it was until recently, but the parametric is all over. I've seen this on all kinds of stuff on Thingiverse, and from what I understand, it basically means you can modify key parameters of whatever thing you're dealing with and make it work for you. So while this was designed for 18650s, you can do this for whatever diameter you want. Um, so you can see here some of the builds they did on this stuff. Um, and this was designed with the holders, and then it actually has the options to build a box, which is pretty cool. I did the lid portion here I have printed out so I can show you guys all of that. I haven't printed the lower portion yet for the box, but this is a pretty well thought out system. If you're looking for something that you can use for like an e-bike battery that is an odd shape, odd size, whatever, that you can't readily find on Amazon or online, this is a pretty good option if you make the holders themselves, I would say out of PLA, it's pretty strong. And then this pr probably PETG, just for more durability. Uh, but yeah, so the lid, it's got an area here for an XT60 or whatever size. You can adjust that as well. So just going through with a couple little photos they have on here, and then I'll do a demonstration on how to actually go through and build this. So you can see they've got their holder and then the base here. Yeah, so they had to cut it and glue it together. Well, not cut it, but glue it together to make it fit. I'm assuming their 3D printer couldn't print that long. So they do have designs for, you can see the recesses here for bus bars like this, as well as nickel strip. All of this is modifiable. You can change whatever you want. A bunch of different configurations they have. So pretty clever. I mean, that's a big battery setup right there. I mean, it's, yeah. So, all right. So what you can do, I don't know how many of you guys have used Thingiverse, but you can download this and then open a program. This is a free open source program called OpenSCAD, 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 whatever. Um, so what you want to do is go through here on the left-hand side. If you've never used this before, it's for the basic uses for something like this, not too bad. Um, so cell diameter here is 18.4 for an 18650. You can adjust this to whatever you want. So let's say we want 32, and then 65 for your cell height. So that works for uh, like the 32650s that battery hookup has, those lithium iron phosphate cells. Your wall thickness here, the one I printed was too thick, so the nickel strip I have didn't quite fit. I'll leave this at 1.2, and then let's say you want to do whatever 5 by 10 battery, and you've got all these different parameters here that you can adjust. So your slot height for your nickel strip, the total height of the cell holder itself. So yeah, width of slots between the rows, width of slots along the rows. You can adjust this for, like, if you have thicker nickel strip or more narrow nickel strip, you can kind of fit that in there better. Pack type, so you have rectangular and parallelogram. Like this is parallelogram, I'm pretty sure. Or no, sorry, rectangular. They're all hex, so they all do a zigzag, but they some of them actually just go on a parallelogram like this, and some are actually more rectangular. I'll show you. I did a rectangular one. So wire style, strip, or bus bar. So there's a bunch of different stuff through here. All of the notes are in there. It's pretty straightforward. But for this, I modified some stuff. And you can come up here and click on preview. So there's the parameters that, which one does it? There we go. These are the parameters that I put in there. So it's 5 deep and then 10 long. And then it's going to give you whatever your diameter was and everything. Now this is just the preview. So in order to actually render it, instead of hitting the preview button here, you can hit render, and it'll actually go through, because it's more power intensive. It takes more CPU power. So if you want to just get an idea of, hey, am I pretty close to what I'm looking for, you can do that with the preview. And then if you're pretty confident that you've fine-tuned it to where you want it, go ahead and hit the render. And so that takes a few minutes. Just about done. So it'll make a noise when it's done. And once you've done that, any day now. There it goes. So now it's actually rendered it for the actual 3D CAD, not just a preview. So from this point, you can come over here to STL, click on STL, and you can save it. I'm just going to save it as a test. Now I can open up Cura, which is my preferred slicer. I know there's a few other uh, slicers out there, the free open source or open free to use softwares. I prefer Cura. It's worked well. I've been using it since I got the 3D printer. Haven't had any issues, so I've just been sticking with it. All right, so that's going to pop open, and then from here we can just go ahead and throw our file in there. And there we go. Doesn't fit because of the size that I made it, but you get the idea at any rate. So you can put that, move it around where you want it, do your thing, and hit slice. Well, it's not going to let me because of that, but you can go through, slice it, and from that point you can start printing it. So that's the gist of the software side of it. I'll show you the couple of pieces that I printed now and go from there. Martha's checking in. Nice to see you again. Glad you could make it. So let me adjust this. Hopefully this will work. Okay. Give me just a minute here. So the one that I printed was 4 cells wide and 4 cells deep, I guess. You can see here it's got raised edges to hold the nickel strip and everything off of any surfaces. And then I'm going to try and show you guys this. There's these little bumps in here right there that stops the cell before it gets to the top. So that's kind of a cool feature. So that way it's not just pushing right through. They actually have little stoppers in there, and these are actually for 2170s. So I picked up a bunch of these Model 3 cells that they had on battery hookup a while ago, and figured I'd give that a shot. Let me get this other half. So when you print these, they're opposites. So that way when you fold the one, you flip it over, it's actually going to fit together. It's kind of important. So you can see, everything fits together nicely, all of that jazz. I do recommend going through, test fitting this. Do just one single cell holder, like a 1 row by 1 column, and make sure it fits. So that diameter might take some adjustment. So like this one is, it's pretty loose in there, but I figured if it was going in a box, it'd be okay. So yeah, this was, like I said, this was a test print. And then I printed the top portion, which has the connector opening here, and then you can see there that hold the battery up. So this is actually space for a BMS, which I thought was kind of cool that they had the foresight to know, hey, you're gonna have to put a BMS in here. Let's make it all one enclosed deal. So yeah, this whole area here is for a BMS, and then you got your main power connector that can come out right here, and you drop this, which to me is the coolest part. Had it right the first time. You drop this in here. Maybe. There it goes. So that drops in. There's just a little bit sticking out. You can adjust this as well. But what I like is how much room there is up under there So you can adjust that as well, the spacing for your BMS to get, however much height you want off of that. So kind of cool. Um, Probably not perfect for every situation, but they do have a couple of options for, right, how do you hold it together? So this one in particular has two options. You can either do zip ties, or you can do bolts, or you can do both. So for this one I did zip ties, and you see that light coming through there? So there's these holes along the top for you to actually run zip ties through, and then you just zip tie it down, hold it together. You can cut them if you ever need to do any maintenance, which is kind of nice, so it's not like glued. So you can cut the zip ties, do your thing. If your BMS messes up or you want to just make sure everything's okay, uh, open it up, check it out. It's good to go. So I don't know. I think it was fairly well thought out. You can see a little bit here. You can see the lip for the overhang to make sure the two pieces fit together. So I just wanted to throw it out there. I don't think it really needed its own video necessarily talking about it, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. I've seen a lot of different battery holders. Um, I have the regular ones that interlock, and it's just a square pack. And I actually put that on an RC plane and nose dived it. I mean, probably 50, 60 feet in the air. Uh, I overloaded the speed control, not the speed control, the receiver, because it was providing all the power to my servos. I overloaded the receiver, and it crashed. It browned out, and so all my servos just kind of like twitched and stuck wherever they wanted to stick, which promptly turned my plane directly into the ground. Not this one, a different one. Turned it right into the ground and just exploded it. And I actually built a battery for that plane out of 9 of these 2170 cells. So it was a 15 amp hour pack with basically an 11.1 volt, like a LiPo, but it's not LiPo. So that was kind of a interesting situation. I thought for sure it was going to turn into a smoldering pile of burning foam, but it actually didn't even break. The battery held together somehow. It was completely fine, no issues at all. The plane was utterly destroyed, but hey, at least the battery survived. So let's see what's going on with the live chat here. Marthal says I've been using Thingiverse as well. Printed hydroponic tower. Hydroponic tower. So um, does that have like the pods? I've seen, was Costco had the hydroponic little with the light that raises up. I can't remember what they called it, but for growing some vegetables and stuff like that. I've been thinking about trying something like that just to see. I like the idea of growing your own food, knowing where it came from, and knowing what's in it, and all of that stuff. So that's kind of cool. Marthal says, I would use mold injected outer shell and use this for the cells inside. Yeah, I bet like mold injected would probably be for like ABS, I'm assuming, which it's not even close as far as strength and everything. ABS is way better. Uh, yeah, I mean, they make them out of Legos and your feet tears them up. Tower Garden, if you're familiar with that. Um, no, sorry. I'm assuming, the guess, like different pots fit, you hang it in different layers, possibly. Yeah, we put in a raised bed in my backyard, uh, but the soil we put in it was crap. It was super spongy and it didn't really want to hold any moisture or anything. And I even dug it all out to, refill it with good soil. But can I post a link here? Yeah, you should be able to. Um, I don't know if they will prevent you from doing that. I guess I can just look. Let me get this out of the way. Get my mug out of your face. Oh, okay. I'm assuming something like this. Oh, let's check it out. I just had that little spiel uh, about this battery holder. So from this point forward, whatever you guys want to discuss, I'm up for it. Anything DIY, it doesn't have to be related to batteries. I don't really care. I don't have any kind of schedule or anything. Oh, okay. This is pretty cool. Yeah. Lettuce and smaller vegetables and stuff, I'm assuming. That's kind of cool. I assume they have different sizes, different designs. Yeah, let's see. Interesting. Yeah, the item I saw was like hmm, container. That's probably super generic. Yeah, like this. So, little hydroponic setup. I've never tried one. My friend has one. He said he was pretty happy with it, but Marthal says I sold the tower garden and 3D printed mine. I mean, it seems like something that you could compartmentalize, do a small portion and just stack it and build it out like that. To me, anyway, doesn't seem like it'd be that difficult. This obviously is a little bit harder to replicate. Yeah, I like the idea of growing my own food. Uh, I need to get more motivated with that. With the price of stuff going up the way it is, it's hard not to. Apparently, there's a lot of 28 cross-site trackers. That's nice. Marthal says exactly. Yeah, so I've seen like the self-watering planters and stuff, like the all-in-one, where it's got, you pour the water in the one side, the soil soaks it all up, does all that. Um, I never printed any of those. I did print a watering can. I'll show you that real quick. Uh, it actually held up really well. I printed it out of PLA. It was this one. I printed it out of PLA and was extremely surprised at how durable it's been. It still works. You can modify this. I went in Cura and um, it's a single. I have a zero point 0.8 millimeter nozzle on my 3D printer right now, and Cura has a vase. Is it vase mode? Where it's basically instead of doing a layer, retracting, starting over, moving up in the Z, doing a layer, it just does a constant, it does its move and it's constantly rising. So it's more like a helix. And this thing works excellent for that mode. Um, and watertight with one layer, no issues there. and you can adjust all of your scaling to, if you want it to be a little bit taller, you can do that. If you want it to be wider, um, this one in particular was really good for making it wider so that this spout right here poured really nice. But yeah, I mean, it printed in like an hour and 10 minutes, and like I said, it's still going strong. And believe it or not, this this point here actually is, it's the two layers coming together and then separating again. It's really sturdied it up. You'd think it would be really flimsy, being one layer wide, only 0.8 millimeters, but it's not. I mean, you can fill it up with water. It flexes a little bit, but it'll probably last forever. They're getting fancy. Yeah, so you can see here it comes together, and that's a good point of structure, structural strength. Well, looks like we got a few more people. What do you guys want to talk about? We're just going wherever the chat leads us right now. We have no agenda at all. At the beginning of the stream, I talked about this parametric cell holder, so you can adjust it, modify it, do whatever you want with it, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than that, I'm just hanging out and chatting with you guys. Marthal says, I want to print in clay. Well, that'd be kind of cool. Um, I've seen like the copper and carbon fiber and metal infused like PLA, uh, but I have wood. I did wood one time. That was weird. It was kind of hard to work with. It wanted like bubble and stuff, so you had like a lot of like gas bubbles in the print. So unless you were planning on like sanding it and staining it or something like that, something ornamental, um, it wasn't the greatest. But I mean, it was kind of cool. So I wonder if the DIY code still works for this. Yeah, it does. Still gives you the 5% off. That's kind of cool. So even though they're doing a sale, if these are some cells you've been wanting to pick up, it's a little bit cheaper at least. So I wonder, I don't care about my cart. I wonder if anybody's messed with these. These scare me. Headway cells scare me. There's a there's a lot of electricity stored up in those things. Pretty wild. Lithium technology, I don't know if people really comprehend just how spoiled we are. When you think about lead acid batteries were about as good as it got for 80, 90 years probably. And now we can store enough energy in something to, well, like look at drones even. My little Mavic Mini, it sits there and hovers for a half hour, just holding itself in the air. Like the energy that has to be stored in something to do that is just pretty impressive to me. I don't know. Good to be scared. It's true. If you're not scared, you probably aren't respecting what you're working on, and it will earn your respect. So, these are pretty cool though. They're ready to go, aren't they? They already got connector on the back, I'm assuming, for a BMS. It's pretty sweet. Marthal says I switched to lithium about 2 years ago. I'm sold. Yeah, I've heard, and I understand that some people don't know about battery hookup or less expensive options. They see like a Battleborn and they're like, mm-mm, no, I'll buy my $150 lead acid battery and be on my way. But I don't know. I just even looking at like a Battleborn or like a Renogy, if it's a stationary setup, you don't need you don't need a Battleborn. I mean, if I had an RV or something where it was going to be going on the road all the time, all the jostling and everything, I could see it. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to justify it now because it's really not. It's not, the price difference isn't like this anymore. I mean, they've really brought the prices down, and especially battery hookup. Some of the stuff, I would say most of the stuff that they do have for sale, you have to do some work to get it operational for what you want. But they even get some like 12 volt. They had some 12-volt batteries in. Actually, they were Renogy's. They had some Renogy ones in, and it's literally just hook it up. You're positive and negative, and you're up and running. It's got a built-in BMS. It's already got all of the protections. It's already got the discharge rates and everything might limit you 100 amps if it's 100 amp hours. But I mean, if you're going to pay twice as much for a battery with 4 times the capability as far as discharge cycles, the cycle life on it, it's going to last 4 times longer. It's got a better high discharge, voltage sag resistance. It doesn't sag quite as far and all of that. I mean, today, in this day and age, I mean, there's no reason to stick with lead acid. The argument of like, well, it's cheaper, it's not there anymore. To me, that cost is eaten up just in the fact of like having flooded lead acid batteries, having to deal with checking the water and topping it off with distilled water. You never have to do that with lithium, and that alone to me is worth, instead of paying 150, paying $300 over the course of 4 or 5 years, it's worth it just to not have to invest that time. It's plug and play for the most part. You should monitor and all of that, but it's the gap has definitely closed on lithium battery technology versus lead acid. Um, yeah, that's my rant about lead acid versus lithium. Marthal says, I think you need the battery to get you to the next super battery. Yeah, this thing, I would like, man, I've thought about when they had those Eve cells for sale on AliExpress and Alibaba, and they were like 88 bucks for a 280 amp hour cell. Uh, I really thought about just buying like 40, 50, 60 kilowatt hours worth of cells and just building out this massive battery and just documenting all of the struggle that I would be sure to have along the way with something like that. And I didn't end up doing it. My BYDs are still running out of balance, but they run. So for what I use right now, that's enough for me. I can't really justify spending thousands of dollars on a bigger battery yet, but I'm sure I'll find justification eventually because it's what we do, right? Like we don't need it, but we do need it. I just got to convince my wife of that. It says Tesla targets $50 a kilowatt hour. Yeah, I remember when $100 a kilowatt hour in the DIY space was kind of a big deal, and I've seen it. We're getting really close to that, even for brand new stuff. With Tesla having the capability that they do, as far as well, they use lithium NMC, so they get a little bit better energy density out of that over lithium iron phosphate. But I mean, they built a Panasonic factory inside their factory. It doesn't get much more streamlined as far as supply chain goes than that. Uh, Bob's done with our batch of cells over there. It's 30 feet away. Go grab them so we can put them in this car. I'm sure it's not that simple. Phantom Panic, hello. Nice to see you join in. Marthal says, I was looking at crashed EVs. You know, uh, oh man, what's his name? I can't remember his name. Off-grid, off-grid living, maybe? I don't know. Um, I'll have to link his channel in the description, but he's done a few battery teardowns and stuff. This guy, he cracks me up. He's got the battery sickness for sure. He's got you like open a closet and he'll be talking about something. He opens a closet in his spare bedroom and there's just a bunch of batteries there with BMSs everywhere. It's hilarious. Cracks me up. He's probably got 4 or 5 different systems up and running. He's got uh frick, what's it called? Magnesigns. He's got a couple of those set up running in parallel and stuff. He's got it figured out. He's got a bunch of panels everywhere. It's pretty cool. He's got quite the setup going. Off-grid garage, David Paz, Jehu. No, it's well, I can just look. I keep forgetting that. I'm pretty sure I'm subscribed to his channel. No, I want to actually, yeah, here we go. Where is he? Where is he? No, not off-grid wannabe. Not DIY solar energy. Going off grid. Yeah, he's got some fun videos. He does a lot of practical stuff. He's really intelligent. He knows a lot about the inverters. You can see over here he's not afraid to tear them apart and he'll figure out what's wrong with them for sure. It's pretty cool. Off-Grid Wannabe has joined the chat. That's awesome. Welcome. Yeah, he's going off grid. You probably knew immediately. He's he's got a lot of videos too. Pretty pretty cool dude. Like I said, he's not afraid to get out there, test some stuff and build some batteries. So pretty cool. He tests a lot of like this here for the cheap Chinese inverters. He goes through those, checks them out, sees, a lot of them are fairly reliable and they're good for certain things. I mean, the Sigeneers are Chinese inverters and they are good for high inductive loads, and I haven't had a problem with either of mine. I haven't had a problem with the one that's in Project Overkill, still running pretty much 24/7 since it went in like 9 months ago, and daily, every day it's been on. Still use the charger on that every now and then if the solar can't quite keep up, and I have no complaints. A friend of mine has an Ames inverter, which is, I think Sigeneer builds them because I mean the outside looks exactly the same. I think Sigeneer builds them, and then they market, other companies market it as their own brand, or who knows, maybe someone builds it for Sigeneer. I don't really know. Maybe you guys do. He saw his setups. Yeah, I mean he's going full tilt. He's got like the, what are they? The little underwater, the like water bikes or whatever they call them. When you hold onto it, it's got a propeller and a battery. He's ripping that thing apart, cramming a bigger battery in there. It was cracking me up. And his Nissan Leaf, uh, he's like, well, we're down to 0 miles left, and we've been at 0 miles for about 10 miles, but I think we might have another 5 miles. He's cracking me up. Yeah, he's been doing it for a while too, long before I started doing this stuff. I mean, his videos just keep going and going, and it's cool too because he branches out, uh, like for his, generators and stuff like that. Basically anything. Well, it's going off grid, right? So anything self-reliance and all of that. Wind turbines, that's pretty cool. So, yeah, pretty entertaining stuff. I also like that he like he just shoots a video and he'll just stop, and like by the time you get the video, it might be 3 or 4 videos where he's just kind of combined it all together. So makes for you see a lot of progress through the projects in each video. So I like that. Did everybody eat a lot of turkey? Hope so. Hope you all had a good Thanksgiving dinner. Some Black Friday shopping, perhaps. Yeah, I see. He did quite a few different battery teardowns for EVs. Um, the only reason I haven't done the EV thing, because originally when I first started looking into it, I was thinking I'm gonna get some Tesla modules, like the 5.3 kilowatt hour ones that were fairly common. Uh, I was like this close to pulling the trigger and didn't for whatever reason, and then I started getting into the lithium iron phosphate, and that was it for me. Uh, I knew I knew I was just going to stick with the lithium iron phosphate at that point because of the safety mostly. And, when I started looking at the stuff, it was either the Tesla modules, which were pretty expensive, or uh, building it yourself with a soldering iron and wire. like, gosh, no. HB Powerwall. Yeah, back in the day. He was a pioneer. Yeah, he's a pretty cool dude too. He gets himself into some stuff. Pretty cool. He had a fire. Yeah, I remember seeing that. Glad nothing catastrophic happened on that. So, Marthal had pizza. We had pizza. I think it was Wednesday night actually. We got some barbecue chicken from Jets. It's pretty good. I don't know if you've ever had it or, yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good stuff. That's how I started. 5.2 kilowatt hour Tesla Model S. Yeah, yeah. I saw a camper. Somebody threw one of those in a camper and had a little heating pad to make sure it didn't get too cold in the winter. And yeah, that was when I was like, that's what I'm doing for sure. And then I started learning more about treating them properly and how it will react if you don't. And I got kind of scared. I was like, I don't really want to put that in my basement. Um, so I kind of veered more toward that lithium iron phosphate. HP Powerwall, love his work. Marthal says uses used cells. Yeah, this guy, uh, I'm pretty sure he does like computer repair and everything, and he just asked people if they want to give him their old laptop batteries, and he just started breaking them all down and testing. And man, he's got to have hundreds of hours into testing all of these different cells and putting capacities, figuring out if they uh, you got to do your capacity test, charge it fully, and then do a full discharge, figure out your capacity, and then you charge it back up and leave it there for 2 weeks to a month, and then go check all the voltages to make sure that you don't have any bleeding down. And I can only imagine for the tens of thousands of cells that he's thrown together, he's got to have hundreds and hundreds of hours. So I respect his dedication. You guys have any channels out there you recommend? I know like the Jehu, Will Prowse, um, Lithium Solar. He's a cool dude for sure. DIY Tech and Repairs. He's a pretty good guy. Um, I think where is he in Norway? I know he's over in the EU. Average Joe, of course. Yeah, boom. Yeah, DIY Tech and Repairs is into a lot of like Raspberry Pi work and stuff like that. And I'm not really sure. I haven't watched any of these Super 7 Locust videos yet, but he did a really, really big battery build, um, like ginormous. I think it was this. He went through and I mean, it was just a 30-foot wall of cells. It was crazy. Makes for entertaining videos, though. It's always nice to see people go through big batteries. I thought about, like I was saying, doing maybe like a 50 or 60 kilowatt hour battery, and I just won't use it. So I couldn't really justify it. Off Grid Wannabe says DMI Inc. is good. Let's check it out. So it's self-sustaining power generation. Okay, I'm sold. Good enough for me. I saw a big solar array. I'm in. Frank Z? Man, never heard of these guys. I'm guessing that's not him. Is it this guy? Legos? I doubt it. I'm gonna go with no. Oh gosh, YouTube rabbit hole. Sad Cat Diary, guys. ebikeschool.com is kind of cool. He does a lot of unboxings, reviews of different e-bikes. He keeps it, what I like about his channel is he keeps it very cost conscious. So a lot of the not cheap, but the lower end stuff. So he apparently bought a Chinese $2,000 electric truck. I haven't watched that yet, but looks entertaining. Oh, Frank Z says there is a space. That makes a difference. I'm still riding the struggle bus here. Hazy Man reviews. Well, you're just going to have to send me a link for his channel because these don't even look remotely related. This guy, Off Grid Living St. Lucia, I don't know if you guys have ever seen him. He doesn't post a ton, but it's pretty cool. His system is, as far as I can tell, that's what he lives off of. He cooks his food in the morning and everything using an electric burner, um, and goes through and just kind of covers what kind of power input he's getting and everything. Pretty cool. Robert Murray Smith. Oh, graphene. I'm interested. Oddly enough, empowerment. Okay. Yep. This looks like a very broad channel. Sounds like fun. I'm in. I don't know if you guys, kind of breaching out of the subject matter of batteries for a second, but this is Belang P. And this guy, I started watching him, gosh, 5, 6 years ago, and he started going through like a lot of, obviously, it's a lot of like financial stuff, which is very relevant to today. But he goes through and talks about basically money. Um, it's kind of cool. So I don't know how far down the rabbit hole you guys would like to go on that, but there's some things happening in the world right now as far as money goes. I think we can all agree and see it when we go to the stores. And yeah, he He's got it figured out. I mean, I would say if you want to learn about not necessarily economics so much, but just monetary history and how real value for things works. Obviously, he's very pro gold and silver and precious metals, and he goes into data. If you haven't noticed by the thumbnails, it's not just a guy sitting there talking about it. He actually gets into hard data, and it's it's well worth it. So there's a few videos that he's done in the past. Understanding gold is probably one of the better ones for understanding gold, understanding why you would want it. So it's kind of cool. But yeah, lots and lots of information here. You can get lost for weeks. He said the dollar is dead. Yeah, it just some people won't admit it. Some people haven't realized it, and other people don't want to face that. I think there's only those three categories really. Yeah, some people are oblivious. You know, obviously this channel is for DIY batteries and stuff, but I did think about starting another channel just talking about money and economics and practical everyday stuff as far as uh, emergency preparedness and stuff like that. It might be worthwhile even for something where your bank won't let you have your money, which sounds crazy, but they're literally talking about that right now. So either war or hyperinflation is next. I think, um, you know, I watched Mike Maloney's Hidden Secrets of Money series. Recommend it if you haven't seen it. Um, there's been thousands and thousands of fiat currencies, and they have all failed. Um, I don't know why we think ours won't, but it sure looks like we're heading right down that same path that thousands of other ones did, where we print and then we start printing and printing and printing and printing, and 40% of all of the dollars in existence were printed last year. Um, so I can't imagine why General Mills is increasing prices by 20%, and I don't know why Dollar Tree is not a dollar anymore. It's $1.25, which is effectively 25% inflation. Can't figure it out, guys. Fiat dollar has been dead for 100 years. Yeah, I'd say 108. Robert Murray is amazing. Love how he makes different chemistries. Oh gosh. Different chemistry batteries. I gotta check that guy out. That sounds super entertaining. Marthal says I'm a diehard prepper. You know, it's like stigmatized, right? But when you start thinking about it, it's so practical. I mean, it just makes sense. Like 100 years ago, people weren't preppers. They were getting ready for winter because they would starve if they didn't. It's just weird. It's weird how the mindset has changed and how people don't see uh, the value in being prepared for things. Off-Grid Wannabe says, I've been to the bank for a withdrawal and they said I needed to make an appointment to withdraw that much. Guys, we're not going to be able to avoid going down this rabbit hole, so I'm probably just going to have to, we're just going to have to. Um, I find it entertaining how people don't understand the fractional reserve banking system and how their money isn't their money, uh, both physically once you deposit it and legally once you deposit it. Um, yeah, it's disturbing when you explain it to people because it is a short-term loan that you give to the bank when you deposit your money into a bank in the US. I'm sure it's probably pretty similar elsewhere, but when you deposit your money in the bank, it's not your money anymore. You think it is, and you get this little receipt that says this is how much money you have in your account. It's not yours anymore. It's theirs, and they have an obligation to give it back to you. Um, Ask the people in Cyprus and Greece how well in 2012 having an obligation to pay it back to them went. Um, yeah, that happened. Um, and I've seen some articles talking about that as far as locking bank accounts or limiting. I've heard something about they want to track everything over $600. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy, guys. Marthel says, yes, off grid simpler to just buy silver. Yeah, at a local coin shop if you can. He used to call us Boy Scouts, homesteaders. Yeah, I've been watching, well, it sounds like you guys would be interested in this. Um, Kilbrook Farm. Yeah, these guys are, I watched them quite a while ago. They started going through talking about getting some goats for goat milk and stuff. They got chickens and all kinds of stuff. Pretty entertaining channel. They cover a pretty wide swath of homesteading stuff. Marthal says, I read books about the 1920s crash. Did you know that there was a depression in the early 1920s that was months long, and then we recovered because they didn't intervene at all? Uh, but we can't do that today, unfortunately, because there's nothing backing our money. Um, Another really entertaining channel for not necessarily homesteading, but life uncontained. Yeah, these guys is pretty sweet. They basically went through, bought a bunch of shipping containers, and we're like, we're just gonna make this a house. So yeah, they built a house out of shipping containers, connected them. I remember when it was, they just moved it. They were getting the ground ready for the pads and everything for the cement. They ran solar, everything's off grid. Pretty cool. Every aspect. And then in the middle of it all they had a kid. So pretty pretty wild. I applaud them for their courage. Pretty cool. Marthal says The Money Master is a wonderful documentary. I'll have to check that out. Um, yeah, I've I've watched like I said, The Hidden Secrets of Money from Mike Maloney quite a few times. Um, well worth it, especially the episode where they go through talking about the Federal Reserve and it how it works and what it is. Uh, it's asinine. What's David Paz got going on lately? Have you guys messed with these? They scare me. They're kind of like the headways. They freak me out. I watched a video where Lithium Solar uh, did a dead short test. I'm pretty sure it was those. He did a dead short test on the SPIs, and they didn't explode or catch on fire. Surprisingly, they just puffed up, and it was actually pretty uneventful. I was surprised. I would like to to check these out. The EG4 batteries, they've they've caught my attention. They seem like a pretty good price point for what it is for a plug-and-play setup. Pretty cool. Kirsten Dirksen. Off-grid living. Yeah, I think human beings are genetically predisposed to struggle. I think, well, I think they've proved this, that if we had everything we needed and we didn't have to work for anything and everything was just handed to us and we didn't have to struggle or fight or worry at all about anything, we'd kind of go crazy. Um, I'm fairly certain I've read about psychological experiments, or at least heard about psychological experiments where they gave people everything they wanted and they basically went nuts. It's kind of crazy. So I can see the human being uh, drive to like homesteading and working and you know struggling to get everything that you have. Marthal says pocket lithiums are designed to not explode. Oh, okay, well, that makes more sense. Yeah, I think he dead shorted him with I think it was like a wrench or something. It was pretty exciting. I mean, to watch. I thought it would be more explosive. Well, this is pretty cool. Look how many people survive winning the lottery. Yeah. Uh, I'd like to think I could do it, but I'd probably end up going broke. End up with a lot of money and you think you always have a lot of money, and I think most people either just do a lot of drugs and OD or blow through it all and then they're broke and homeless and worse off than when they won the lottery, I would say, or before it. This looks like a pretty interesting channel. You guys ever watch Joe Robinette? Old Scout. Old Scout. Pretty entertaining stuff. I like his videos. He really, I remember back when he was living in Windsor and he would just, well, for the off-grid bushcrafting, he would drive 8, 10, 12 hours to get up into northern Canada or more north and do an overnight trip, record it, edit, do everything. That was back, he used to do a lot shorter videos. Marthal says some do well with it, but few that do. Yeah, I agree. I agree. People struggle when they haven't earned everything that they have and they just suddenly are very wealthy. Um, yeah, tend to lose it as fast as you get it. Pretty cool. Pretty cool videos. Funny dude. He's a pretty funny dude. Green Mountain DIY guy. He does a pretty good broad range of stuff. He's got tractor videos and generator videos talking about different stuff. I like his stuff. Yeah, he built a off-grid solar shed. That was pretty cool. So, yeah. Well, it's been about an hour, so I think I'm going to call it quits. There's a grand total of 2 people in here. So thank you for sticking around and having a chat. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, like I said, didn't really have an agenda. I think for the most part, people pop in, and if they don't see a whole lot going on, they just kind of bail out. So appreciate you guys hanging out and having a chat. Um, yeah, I enjoy it. I don't know, but I'm gonna call it quits. I'm gonna crash out for the night, and thank you guys for watching. I'll have to get some videos out pretty soon about the active cell balancers that I bought, but I'll see you guys later.